Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us for a writing workshop sponsored by the Cornelia T. Bailey Foundation. Luce Mack is a proud South Bronx resident, motivational speaker, cultural educator, and children's author, specializing in creating stories that celebrate culture and language while empowering children. Her book series, Pequeña Maria, was featured on PBS Chat and Learn. She has also collaborated with the Disney Storybook Art Team to co-write Family is Everything, Disney Encanto picture book. Her book, The Secret of the Platinum, became a #1 new release on Amazon. Welcome, Luce. I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you. It's so nice to meet everyone, and thank you for having me. Before I start talking about what it is to the world of picture books and the magic of making one, I just want you to know that everything that you'll learn here, it's it'll be like very awesome when you start thinking about this, how it relates to you. Because the secret part about making a picture book is putting your like experience in it, your childhood magic, or speaking to your inner child. To me, like it's very important for you to think about your inner child because a lot of the books I wrote were like really with the purpose of helping my children see themselves. And before I helped them see themselves, I had to remember who was little Luce, if that makes any sense. So I'm going to share my screen, and I'm sorry if I'm a little nervous. It's been a minute that I've taught a class, so please bear with me. So picture book magic with me. And before we start, hola, my name is Luz Maria Mack. I was born in Villamella, Dominican Republic. I was raised in Santiago, Dominican Republic. I immigrated from Santiago to New York City at a young age. I am the proud mother of 3 beautiful people that are like my world and my handsome husband. They don't look like that and they roll their eyes at me now, all of them. So I live in the Bronx. It's so nice to meet you. Now, if you could take less than a minute and introduce yourself visually by either taking the emoji on the chat, let me know who you are. And there's a reason for this first prompt, and I'll tell you why. So I'm going to stop the share for a second. Oh, no one wants to introduce themselves. There's like a little emoji. You could use that, and we see like you could introduce yourself as a burger, as a cat, or anything. Oh, there you go. I see you, Cindy. It's so nice to meet you. Anyone else wants to go?
Slow down. So,
Okay, nice to meet you. Oh, I love that, Ashley. Hi, Roxanne. Hi, Lisa. Welcome, welcome. Hi, Deborah. Oh, I love it. You're introducing yourself like a beach. I love that. And Roxanne, I love the sunflower. Hi, of course, the lovey emoji. And my hobby is reading. That's awesome. So one of the reasons for this first introduction prompt is that a lot of the picture book classes I taught, I'm really want to get you anchored that a lot of it is on imagery. You're not only going to do images with words, your words need to match what you're saying with the illustrator. And a lot of that, I'll give feedback on how you work with an illustrator or how you pick an illustrator that celebrates your words. So about me, I created bilingual picture books and 2D animated stories that celebrate culture, family, and belonging and helping kids see themselves specifically for Latino and Black communities. Like Serena said, I am Dominican, my husband is African American, and to me it was more important because of my children. I wanted them to see themselves not only in the pages of a book, but I wanted them to also know that there were stories about them that help them learn. And because I think picture books is like these wonderful tools that could be used for education, not only social emotional learning, but also literacy and other beautiful components. So these are some of my awards and achievements. I'm not going to go into them since Serena did mention them, but this is the overview of the class. We're going to talk about picture books and their role in early learning. Sorry, let me just move this for how words and illustration work together to tell a story. And you just saw that, how you introduce yourself. Types of picture books. I'm going to focus on board books because those are what we call the first books or a baby's first book, and they really are the ones that help as a stepping stone to get into picture books, because not all kids start reading like with big books. They start with the picture books, with the board books that are sturdy, that they could touch, that they could really start playing with. Rhyme and repetition, the importance of that, word counts and target age ranges, and the skills it develops, from fine motor skills to early literacy skills of recognizing patterns, connecting images, and building vocabulary, the essentials of storytelling and illustrations in picture books, why they matter, and some writing guidance, and then publishing advice. The publishing advice will come a little bit at the end, because I know a lot of you probably are thinking about why, if I am writing a book, and I'm sure many of you are, how to get an agent, how to get with publishers, and and just looking and doing your research. But please be aware of vanity publishers, because sometimes they're very costly. And some advice I could give for self-publishing. Okay, so what is a board book? Let's start. And this cute little kid is doing this. So board books are designed for very young children. They are sturdy, made out of cardboard. Sometimes they're made out of like cloth material. And sometimes, often, I don't know if you have ever seen, and this happened a lot when I was a little younger. Older grandmas used to take like your baby blankets and your old clothes, and they used to like make little stories of them. So, and then they put them all together. That's something that I don't see a lot, but that's what it was. Board books really started out of materials, like just scraps when the baby was growing, and it was helping them have like the baby's personalized story. And while culturally and historically things change, and now we see them in board books, and we're making actually clip art and making and helping kids see themselves, the board book was actually designed for the kids to start interacting with books. That was it. That was the point of a board book. But these books started becoming not only a lesson tool, but also like a way to give like help for kids to get into like school. So a lot of like schools, we see that they use board books when kids are starting nursery, and very few schools when kids are in nursery start with picture books. They start with the board book for those specific reasons. They want the kids to feel comfortable. Some of the ones that are made out of cloth or like other sturdy materials like plastic, for kids to chew on it, because they know, like, a way for kids to learn is that they have to play with the object, and board book is just that. So the materials, I mentioned a lot of them. They're board books that can be made from sturdy materials such as foam, chipboard, scrapbook paper, or construction paper. They can also be personalized into photo board books, or it could be made out of cloth, and it could be featuring your family or personal pictures of your family, or other things. Like you could get a magazine and clip them out. Board book concepts are from ABCs to vocabulary, numbers, colors, shapes, and animal. So when you're reading the board books, you see it's not text heavy, it's more illustration heavy. And that's because kids are starting to put together these worlds in a book. Now, the information that we need to concentrate for board books is that the word count has to be under 100. For ideal board books, sometimes it's under 50 words, because the kids are not going to read. They're going to be mostly concentrating on the images of the book. And since the board book is a sensory book, like that kids could either touch, they could play with it, or they could tug, and probably one of the pages releases something else that they could play with in another capacity. These concepts are designed for that. So the kid could kind of like destroy and play with them at that. What happens is that most writers take some concepts when they're creating board books, and they're very expensive. To create a board book, the minimum price is close to $7,000. That's why many publishers do not want to if you're pitching a board book, there's only a couple of publishers you could consider pitching a board book. They usually don't because it's so expensive, and sales are they're very low unless you're like someone very, very famous. Those are the people that they know that they have buy-in power because their communities are going to buy books, just so you know. But it's important while you're learning to write a picture book that you start with these easy concepts so you could build upon that. So one example of a board book is like ABCs, the ABCs. You've seen board books that go A is for apple, B for ball, C for cat. So and some of them are numbers, and the numbers goes from 0 to 10, and they put objects. And then other ones are rhythm books, what they call rhythm on rhythm, and it's like row, row, row your boat. And then they put little images of a boat, of maybe like a fish swimming, and then other nap time songs, even Twinkle Twinkle Little Stars. Those are the basic board books, and there's sometimes we see unique board books from either different countries or from different like folklore tales that they're trying to be adapted into board books, but they're hard because of the pricing. The skills that it develops on kids is the hand-eye coordination. When a board book is given to a child, which is like either as a gift or as like a nursery school, they're learning to open the book, they're learning to grab the little things, to open things within the pages. They're also learning how to lace. Some of the board books have strings so kids could start playing and grabbing their things. Some of them have buttons, some of them have zippers. As you could tell, there's so many things that the board book has because of its interactability. It helps the kids start like learning their motor skills. And then I wrote the other skills are early literacy and pre-writing, because some board books, they have extra pages where the kid could write on it so they could do tracing. Now, this was something that happened a lot when I was younger. I don't see a lot of board books that have the tracing, but it used to be that there was like a board book and then a couple of blank, sturdy cardboard pages that the kid could write on it and try to mimic what they see. We see that less and less, but it still happens. So I'm sorry. In the spirit of learning, this is what I call the Project Family Board Book. One of the most valuable nuggets I love to share is that writing can start with what you already know. It could be as simple as creating a board book about your family or friends. So an example, this is my mother, I put grandma, and this is my daughter, I put grandma and me. I want you, by doing an exercise, I'm going to just stop the screen and share something with you. Think about what kind of page you would like to see on your first board book. It could be the initial of your first name, a drawing or an object that begins with the letter of that initial, a toy, a manipulative that starts with your first name initial. An example of that is like, my name is Luz, I put a ladybug, and then I put Legos. Everything starts with L. My last name is Mac. I put that letter M, Mario, like for the character, and then I put marbles. So because this is a first exercise, you could start by doing something like this, as simple as this, like putting a picture of you and someone important, or you could do something of this, or you could stick with like the basics of ABCs or anything. I'm gonna give you 3 minutes, and this is the worksheet, and I'm gonna find a way. Let me stop the share to see how I'm gonna get this to you right now. So I'm gonna just put 3 minutes in my timer. Give me a second. You could do this on your desktop. Hold on, let me just share the link so you guys have it. I think that will probably work better, right? If I share the link. Yeah, give me a second. Oops. Serena, can you help me by sharing that link that I sent you?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Thank you, because now I
Thank
can't
you.
exit the link, like it's stuck on the
Oh,
page.
no problem.
If you could put that there, that would be great. And thank you everyone for introducing yourselves. I see I have a couple of my friends that joined. Thank you so much for joining.
So while I'm waiting for the link in email, everybody, we did have one question, Luz. It was about
Yes.
board books. Does it
Yes,
have
go
to
ahead.
be a certain shape or shape like a shoe or anything specific like that?
No, when it is a different shape, I want to be very honest. If a typical board book, because anything between 5,000 to 7,000, at most 10, when it's a shape like a shoe or shaped like a circle, even like a circle, that raises the cost of it, because then that means what the publisher is doing, or you are doing if you are acting as the publisher, is finding like an offset printer that can make that images and also get the materials to put that together. Does that make sense? Okay.
Perfect. Thank you. I put a link to the slides, everyone. So if you guys want to go to that slide.
It is page, oops, now I can't see the page. What the heck? Oh, 17. It is page 17. So let me put the 3 minutes now. And since you have Canva, please set a copy. Don't add to this slide. Now you guys all have it. I see you're all entered. So how you do that is, now that I share it, you can make a copy of this page and download it, okay? Okay. Everyone know? And then we'll take a couple seconds to get someone to share what they put together. Okay, so 3 minutes start now. 2:18 at 2:21. Can the assignment be repeated? Yes, the assignment is that um, I showed examples of board books, like in types of concepts of board books. You could do something as simple as a family and board book, like one page. We're just doing one page. You could do something that says you and a family member. I use as an example grandma and me, like using my mother. Or you could use this, and this is an example, initial of your first name, a drawing or an object that begins with the letter of your name, a toy or a manipulative that starts with the letter of your name, is getting you to think about like some of these concepts when we put them together. So an example of that is, my first initial is L, is for Luz. I put Ladybug and Legos. And my last name is Mac, so I put M and Mario and marbles. But you could do whatever you want. It's just an example of of you're gonna put something here and something there for you to start thinking of like the simplicity on board books and how this comes together. It's not as easy as people think, because they're okay. We have 1 minute and 6 seconds, and if anyone wants to, by at the end of the minute, raise their hands and show what they were able to create, I'm happy to see what they did. And if they don't, that's fine. We'll just give a minute for people to see if they're courageous enough to share. Oh, and one more reminder, since this is just like a 2-page spread of board books, is not text heavy. As you saw, we're using manipulatives and words like grandma and me and my friend, me and my uh, pup, me and things like that, because that's how usually the board books are. It's like almost one word per page. Okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, do we have any volunteers that want to show? You could go off mute. This is a small class.
My name is Deb. Can I say it because I don't know how to share it?
Oh, that's fine. You're welcome
My
to.
Thank you. My initials are DC, and so the first page D, I can do different kind of doggies,
Oh, okay.
and then C is for cupcakes, so I can do different kinds of cupcakes.
Perfect. So did everyone visualize that while we're using Deborah's first initial and see? And I know it sounds so like simplistic, but just keep in mind that when you pick up board books, this is how they are. Oh, and I'm gonna share my screen again. And I'm so sorry if it was confusing how to make copy of the slides, but I'll email after the class to Serena the worksheet so you guys could work on it because maybe like Canva was it was a little tougher than I thought. Okay, I'm gonna share my screen and you guys could follow along now since a lot of you have access to it. Okay, share my screen. So illustrations play a pivotal role in children's books. It helps bring the story to life and allows young readers to better understand the context and emotions within the narrative. For children who are just beginning to read or learn, illustrations make it easier to follow along. And one of the reasons I jumped into illustrations from board books, just to give you an idea, while board books are simple concepts, before we learn about picture books, we have to learn about the images that the story will share. Um, Picture books also help connect with the story, making the reading experience more relatable, engaging, and fun. So a lot of writers have different ways of getting to what pictures they want to create. Some visualize it, some like write things down. Before this class, I was telling Serena's like some concepts that I have learned about picture books. But the most important thing that we need to learn as writers, that we all are in this class, is that while we're creating a picture book, we must align our words to the images. And our words have to be also visually descriptive. And as in board books, we had to kind of visually see it too by the example that Deborah actually shared. That was a perfect example. So, how important are illustrations to books? So, we're going to actually do another concept, and this is called a wordless book activity. It's a it's a picture book called Umbrella. It's under 3 minutes. And I know you're probably thinking, oh my gosh, this woman just started giving homework, but this is how we jump into the world of picture books. So let me stop the screen while I'm giving you some of the instructions. Okay, here we go. This is everyone's going to use this link. It's called The Umbrella. It's a wordless picture book. It's one of my favorite picture books. And the reason why I always use The Umbrella is an older book, but it's a book that really makes you think, what is this? Why does it matter that my words match with an image? And I'll show you why. So when we go back to my screen, and I'm going to share the video, we're going to explore any page or pages of the book Umbrella and bring them to life with our words. Consider what will you name the puppy who's the main character of this picture book. How does the puppy think and feel? Did the puppy name the umbrella or just stumble into adventures? Remember, is your story, the puppy can be a he or she, or maybe it's a they. Take 5 minutes and to write your version of the story. And the reason we're going to just practice writing is we're going to practice writing by actually seeing an actual picture book unfold before us and put our twist into it. Again, I know I just jumped from board books to picture books, but there's a reason for my madness. And then I'll stop and I'll take some questions, okay? So let me just stop the screen. Uh, okay.
The Umbrella by Ingrid and Dieter Schubert.
So this is the beginning of the story. The dog finds the umbrella.
The End.
Okay, so we watched that, and now I'll be giving you 5 minutes. Think back on what you just experienced seeing. Remember, it started with a puppy and its umbrella, and then this little guy just got into a whole lot of trouble, right? If we were to put a soundtrack to this song, book, it would be "Been Around the World" and right? Like it'll be one of those old school songs. But think about it as a kid. Think about like what would the puppy's name be? Is it a he? Is it a she? Is it a they? What is the problem? Is the problem that he's trying to get back home? Let's think about simple and remember, use very little words. So think about a couple of pages that you saw and the images and put words into what you think the book umbrella should have. Again, I'm going to put my timer, and then if a brave soul wants to share what they wrote. We're happy to take a couple of those, and then I'll stop for questions. Okay, starting now. Down to a minute and 30 seconds. So our time is running out, so make sure that you put your finishing touches. Think about the story, think about the pages that you want to highlight. Is it the one where the puppy is fighting the alligators or the crocodiles? Are they alligators? Are they crocodiles? Were they just having a dance off? Like, think about things like that. Or is it the one that he or she is floating in the air? Like, again, think about your story in your words and how you would like to see the umbrella. Okay, we're coming down to 50 seconds. Okay, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. Um, who would like to share? No pressure. I'll give everyone a minute to decide if they would like to share. If not, we could jump for a break and ask some questions about what you've been experiencing so far, or do a little room temperature.
Um, my name is Ashley. And I,
Hi.
I think this is Gus. He reminds me of a puppy I know named Gus. But I kind of wrote that Gus is a little curious. He found this umbrella and was curious to see what it was and or after opening it, he was swept away by a gust of wind. Afraid at first, Gus wondered how he would get down and get back home. And then something amazing happened. He was above the puffy clouds in the cool air, looking at the world below. He was excited to see where the umbrella would take him next. And then he drifted down above the Sahara and saw all of these strange looking animals that were just as curious about him as he was them.
That's perfect. Thank you, Ashley. And I love the name, and I love, like you said, a gust of wind. That's very cute. Anyone else? Okay. So if there's, oh, I'm sorry, I haven't monitored a chat. Oh, okay. Thank you, Alonso. Sorry, I missed that. Popper looked at the many birds in the yard. He wondered what it was like to be a bird, but he could not fly. He fell asleep on an umbrella left in the yard. The umbrella appeared in his dreams and flew him to places as a bird. That's beautiful. Popper found many looked up at him. No, Popper found many looked up at him and wondered, is that what happened, birds? Is that what happened? That what happened, birds? Sometimes he thought he would fall. He knew birds did not fall and would land. At some point, the dream ended and Popper woke up. That's beautiful. It could, yes, that's actually pretty That's really cool. You thought about Popper as like dreaming through this whole experience. That's another great way to think about the umbrella. Anyone else? I don't want to I don't want to rush through this process because again, The Umbrella is one of my favorite wordless picture books, but we're doing this exercise like as we are authors. I'm not giving you the rules or the format. We're gonna do the rules and formats now, but I also want to give time for questions because I don't want to rush through the process. So if anyone has any questions on anything that I've covered so far, you're welcome to come off mute, ask your question, or raise your hands. Everyone feels it's going good? I'm not rushing through things? Okay. All right. Now that I took a step back, the reason we did board books first is that again, and I like to repeat myself only because for me, when I'm learning a new subject, I think repetition is key so we understand like the key points. Board books are low content and tools to introduce kids to literacy and images. Picture books are a higher concept tool to teach kids not only literacy skills, but also developmental skills in thinking and concepts as well as images. The reason we went from choosing your initial and putting it with a manipulative or putting it or toy. I use sometimes the word manipulative or toy. And so kids could start, we could start using a word and more images in a board book. And then again, picture book, we saw Popper, Popper or Gus, or we saw the puppy and the umbrella, and we're giving it more concepts. And now we're talking about relationships and things. So now I'm gonna share my screen again, and you guys can follow along since you guys have access to the link. Okay, so I'm gonna read this. Oh, but I want you guys to think about, oh my gosh, what did I do? Oh, I hate when I do
Hands
these
would rather
things.
not get messy. They feed, they bathe, they play catch. That's why we made a baby wipe big enough to help
Sorry.
protect them.
I just had a little senior moment here. What was I thinking? Okay. Oh gosh, it's doing it again.
The
Okay. Come on. Okay. Wordless book activity. So we just did a wordless book activity and we put some words and a story, but everything came from us. We identify the wordless book, the umbrella, into our world, what we wanted to see of the puppy, what we thought what we thought was happening. Even though the author only gave us illustrations, it was enough for us to think about the puppy from our eyes, from our lens. But this isn't so foreign to children. This is how, when they pick up a book, they relate it back to their world. They relate it back to who they are, who she or he is, and their experience and their entire world. So here are some facts about picture books. They're divided into different age groups. So we have board books, that's why we started. And you see alphabets, my first words, faces, some things, or objects, right? Now, early learners in preschools, the board books, first concept books, ages 0 to 3, and less than 20 words. Some people say it's less than 100 words, but really it should be very few words, almost none. Words per page, sometimes none, or just pictures. Preschool picture books ages 3 to 5 have about 5 to 15 words per page. So if we think about the puppy that we just saw from Umbrella and we take one of those images and just put less than 15 words per page, how would that story read? Now, these are some of like the rules again. And when we're thinking about the rules, maybe we don't want to write books for early learners that are in preschool. Maybe we want to go a little further, right? How about developing readers that are K through first grade? Now, these concepts are a little tougher, but why are they a little tougher? These are for emergent readers that are reading anything from 10 to 30 words per page. So now we're getting under the 200 to 300 words a book, right? Since it says 10 to 30 words per page, right? And most picture books, 10 pages, 20 pages, 24 pages, 30 34 pages. They're trying to make sure it doesn't go over 500 words. The reason why reading is, it is not like the easiest task for kids. They're learning to read. They're getting exciting to read. So they're trying little by little to build their vocabulary. So they have often short messages per page, simple sentences, stories that rely heavily on illustration for context. And then one of the things that I didn't put here that it's really important is that there's repetition. So they're repeating certain words over and over again, and this is what's building the child's vocabulary for developing readers K through 1. When we think about reading with help, these are books that are a little bit over 500 words, and this is from grades 1st grade to 3rd. There are a lot more word heavy, but mostly these kids are reading with either a parent, a guardian, or a teacher. These words are these books are very, very confusing for kids that are just learning to read on their own. Because now we're talking about almost 50 and in some cases 100 words per page. They're short sentences. They have vocabulary. There's still some pictures, and some of them have what we call spot art, that they're not big pictures, but they're smaller pictures. And now it's very heavy on messages, and they have to understand what they're reading. So if we think of the picture book, The Umbrella, the wordless picture book that we just read, which image will be so hard to explain that will fit into this grade, you know? So a lot of dialogue, maybe the puppy is again talking to the whale and saying like, hey man, you try to swallow me, something funny like that. Think about like how dialogue heavy. What is the message? Is it that the puppy's trying to have a conflict resolution with the whale? But how do we make that for kids, for young readers that are actually getting into like the sentences, the reading on their own or reading with a family member, or probably a family member is listening to them. And then for grade 3, when they're fluent, but they still need help, this is what we call early readers that are getting into chapter books, like almost there. And then reading on your own, grades 3 to 5. And these grades, sometimes they're closely similar in books, because it really depends when kids feel comfortable and confident about reading, that they're loving reading. Reading doesn't feel like a chore. It's not tiresome. So now, I don't know if you notice, I give a lot of activities. I think activities is a really fun way to learn. Your next activity is using the wordless book that we did, The Umbrella. Take one of the pages, and I'm going to actually play the video again, but this time I'm not going to put the sound. I'm going to put 5 minutes and think about these rules. If you're going to write to one of the pages, which page, how many words are you going to put per page, per the image, and you'll have 5 minutes to think of something clever to say. And it could either be with dialogue between you and the puppy and the birds, or the whale, or the alligators, or him finding, or the umbrella, or anything. Again, stick to these rules. 0 to 20 words per page, 20 to 50 words, or 50 to 100 words. And then we're gonna stop for a second, but again, this is now using some of the rules that we know. If we're going to write to a picture book, we have to kind of adapt to these rules. A lot of the my picture book classes is always about reading something and then adapting it to our own so it can make sense to us. So I'm going to stop the share. I'm going to put 5 minutes again. And again, I hope you're enjoying this. I hope you don't think I'm just making you guys write to death, but it really helps if when you're seeing the picture book, just look at which page really speaks to you. Because if there's a page that speaks to you, it makes it easier for you to write. Okay, so let me stop the share, get the okay, here we go. We're sharing the screen. And starting now, 5 minutes, look at it again. But again, if there's a page that speaks to you, make sure now you're writing and thinking of the rules. Is it early reader? Is it going to be 20 to 50 words per page? Is it going to be emergent reader? Is it going to be an early reader? Is it going to be a reader that's reading independently? So those are many more words per page. So let's look at it again. I removed the music and now we're at 4 minutes and 25 seconds. So now you could be looking at it and writing, okay?
Luz, we're just seeing your desktop background. We're not
Oh
seeing the
no,
video.
are you not? Hold on. I thought I was sharing it correctly. Thank you for that stop. Here we go. Sorry. Let me put that again. Let me just give you more time. Okay. Remember, we're seeing all these images. Think about the rules. Is it an early reader? Is it an emergent reader? Let's try to use the words that we already written if you want in some cases, or you could write again and adapt some of the rules to it. Okay, we're at 2 minutes and 15 seconds while we're seeing that. Okay, we're coming down to 1 minute and 40 seconds. Okay, now the puppy's landing home. So I think they're getting home. Again, think about how many words you're putting per page. Now, this exercise should have been a lot harder for 2 reasons, because now we know the rules. We know that if we want to write to certain age groups, we could only have so many words per page. I'm gonna just stop talking because I feel like I did a lot of talking. If anyone has anything they would like to share of what they did, or if they hadn't have any questions, you're more than welcome to come off mute. Anyone? I'll give a minute. If nothing, I totally respected. Lisa, nothing. Okay, I get it. Oh, that was when the screen was on. Sorry about that. Again, thank you for your patience. I'm sometimes a little funny with this. Okay, anyone has anything to share or any questions? It's okay if it felt so hard that we couldn't confine to these rules. The reason for that is because we're starting to use our words and see how we could edit them down and they can match the words. I hope this makes sense. Yeah, okay. So I take it by your silence. Now you kind of like not that excited with me, but don't worry, there is more. I'm going to share the screen.
Sure.
Okay. So I'm not sure how many of you have young kids, but this little box is something that comes in the back of a lot of what they call step into reading books. If you have young kids or kids that are in school, that are like in the ages of like pre-K, like the grade levels pre-K to third grade to fourth grade and fifth grades. This is kind of like the step into reading so they know where they're at. And the reason, again, we already learned the rules, right, of how many words per page, but I really want to talk about these rules because this is how, when you're writing a children's book, this is also what publishers follow. Does the story make sense? The story I want to write. And the reason we're using the umbrella and it's not our individual story is that it's helping us think and like sharpen those skills of how to tell a story within the publishing guidelines. Does that make sense? So if we're doing uh, uh, a book for early readers, again, it's ready to read preschool to kindergarten for children who know the alphabet and are eager to begin reading. Big type and easy words, rhyme and rhythm, picture clues. Does anyone have an idea about what kind of books these are that you've seen? I'll give you an example. I see Spot run. Spot plays with ball. Like that kind of easy picture books. So those are under like 20 words. Those are under even 5 to 7 words a page. That's what they're
Caterpillar.
talking about. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
The caterpillar book.
Yes, that's another great example. So again, we're getting into our inner children, thinking about the books that we read back then. So it could help you drive this concept more home. So when you're thinking about, like, let's say the umbrella, if you're writing the umbrella in this ready to read, it'll be Gus saw umbrella or Gus saw I won't say the alligator because that's a 3 syllable word and that will take us here. But like Gus saw bird. You see, things like that that are very, very simple. Reading with help. These are preschool to grade 1 for children who recognize familiar words and sounds out new words with help. Basic vocabulary, short sentences, simple stories. Which stories do you think will be this? Uh, Anyone ever read Goodnight Moon?
Yes.
Good Night Moon. So that will be Good Night Moon. It's still like close to ready to read, but not really because it has sentences. But now we're still being familiar. We're seeing a lot of like what we call like basic sight words, the and like other words like that, and making connecting the sentence together is not like a 3 word on a page. So again, think about the umbrella. Think about I don't know why I keep liking Gus because I really like that we use that word for the puppy. Like Gus made a friend. My friend is the bird. Now we're putting two concepts. The dog made a friend and the friend is the bird. Again, if I'm talking too much, you could stop and say, "Hey, Luce, I think I got it. I think it's this." I will love to hear from you. That way it feels like you're learning. So, okay, reading on your own, grades 1 to 3. For children who are ready to read on their own, engaging characters, easy to follow plots, popular topics. What what books remind you of this?
Pete the cat.
Exactly. So we're not at like chapter book, but it's like Pete the Cat. It's like
Biscuit.
the lot Biscuit, Biscuit sometimes falls into this one because there's early readers for Biscuit, but then the harder biscuits are
Yeah.
there too. So you're actually completely right, Roxanne. You know, which is another one. Whoever read the Llama Llama Red Pajama books that you heard it as a rap, that would be that. That would be that one. And that's actually I always quote that author because when she passed away, I don't know why it did something on me. I cried. But she was not only a famous illustrator and an author, but she really understood to get these concepts. And I think that's one of the reasons why that book was so famous. And another picture book that I want you guys to think about, when you give a mouse a cookie, where would it fall in these three? Have you ever read If You Give Your Mouse a Cookie?
Yes.
So it would be on reading on your own, right? Kind
Yes.
of, because it has a lot of concepts. Like the mouse starts being very like, oh my God, I need this, I need that, I need the other stuff. But also it could also be reading paragraphs when you give your mouse a cookie. So let me continue. Reading paragraph, grades second to third for newly independent readers who read simple sentences with confidence, challenging vocabulary, short paragraphs and citing stories. I need to tell you a tip. Challenging vocabulary, what that really means are 2 to 3 syllable words. That's what that means. So we're not getting into like the Harry Potters just yet, but we're reading up to the Harry Potters. Does that make sense? Like an example, Dr. Seuss. Dr. Seuss's books will fall into this one because it has a lot of words that are made up and they have multiple syllable words. They will not fall into these things. Go ahead, Lisa.
Where would the book The Secret Garden falls under?
I'm sorry, can you say that again? Because it sounded a little muffled.
The Secret Garden.
Oh, The Secret Garden. The Secret Garden. I know there's a picture book for The Secret Garden, but I also know it's a chapter book because I've seen both. So if it's a chapter book, it'll be ready for chapters. That's a good example as well. So do we see how like it keeps evolving? But again, it starts from the very basic. So for ready for chapters, it's grade 2 to 4 for children who want to take the plunge into chapter books, but still like colorful pictures. You know what's Roald Dahl, the big friendly giant? That's another example for read for chapters books. Matilda, another famous book, but I'm trying to get you guys to see like how these books start evolving so it can make sense. So if we were to do The Umbrella again, which I won't make you guys do again right now because I know you're like, okay, we're umbrella out. Now think about it with this. The purpose of stories is imagination, funny, and powerful teaching tools. How will you make sure the umbrella hits one of these levels? It also hits the imagination and it's funny and it's using language, and also make sure that the reader, or well, you as a writer, is putting decoding skills and critical thinking skills in your story. You know, a lot of the sources of stories is your family, is your friends, is your loved ones. That's why I use the umbrella as an example, so you could put your own spin to it. And a lot of the magic of writing a picture book is you guys have your own unique stories and twists to it. But again, learning to write is a skill that anyone can learn, but it takes a lot of like just repeating it. I'll give you one example. I wrote a story that was under 1,000 words. It was actually 700 words. I wrote that story over 50 times. It got picked up by a publisher. It was when I was agented for a time. I wrote that story when it was 300 words. I wrote that story when it was 1,500 words. And what mattered is that the message stood the same. What is the key message? But one of the reasons why when you're agented or you go through a publisher, they want to see different versions of the stories. They want to take the best sentences that fit all these criterias and put it together. Now, I'm just going to stop the share for a second. we're gonna do another exercise, but just in case if anyone has any questions, because I see the chat says up,
You
up,
got some
away.
responses for that exercise.
Yeah, I'm seeing that. I'm so sorry I missed it. Up, away. Chip goes up and away where the wind blows. That's actually perfect because it has a rhyme. It has repetition. We know that's actually like reading with help, grades like stage 2 when we think about it. And then Lisa put, what's inside there? Oh, it's an umbrella. Oh no, I cannot let go. Again, we're using dialogue. That's perfect. So you're going between reading on your own and reading paragraphs, if you want to put it like that. And again, the dialogue is beautiful because now we're starting to see those things. Oh, and Bad Seed.
The
Is that
book,
a book?
The Bad Seed,
Yeah,
yeah.
I haven't read that one. I heard lots of it, and I've been like, it's so funny. I'm gonna tell you guys something. I've been writing picture books for almost over 12 years now, and I like to think that I'm actually growing up, and now I'm trying to move into middle grade. I know that sounds so silly, so I gave a pause for picture books, and I'm gonna see if I could do this middle grade book. I keep picking it up and putting it down, but it's gonna happen. And sometimes I'm gonna tell you another thing. I wrote a children's book 2 years ago. That's the one that I was saying that it's 700 words. I had to write it all those times before it got picked up and sold because when you're shopping it to publishers, it really depends the time that we're in, right? Because they probably want to shoot like a message. They want to make sure also they want to make sure it doesn't compete with other publishers that have similar stories. So that's another good information for you to know. So while you're thinking about all this, think about think about that. Give me So now this is another picture book exercise. And this exercise is not like the umbrella. As you can see on your left, or my left might be your right, there's a little girl playing with like this little animal, right? Um, I'm not sure. We could call it a Loch Ness monster. We could call him a name or her a name or they a name. But again, this little girl grows to be this little girl and she's feeding the animal. And now she's taking a nap with the animal. And then we see her age till she's old. Now, this is another exercise. The writer's exercise is beginning, middle, and end. So observe the image that I'm sharing with you. Look closely at the 4 panels. What's happening between the girl and the sea creature? Step 2, choose your focus, right? What is the focus about? Is it about their budding friendship and then letting go? Is the focus about um maybe the little girl is scared of swimming and she's learning to swim, and maybe they're all growing old together and they learn to swim and have a deep appreciation for the water. What is the focus? Let's think about that. Um, Beginning, how did they first meet? What was the girl doing when she found the creature? Middle, what adventures did they have together? What feelings or challenges they face? And how does their story close? Do they say goodbye, stay together, or leave a mystery? 3, create your picture book story. So we're gonna write this beginning, middle, and end. But I want you to keep it short, keep it very simple, like a picture book. Think about it. The setting, tell me, where are they? Is it the beach? What's the name of the beach? Is it like in a faraway mystical land? Uh, Again, think about this stuff. Oh, sorry. um the character, who is in the story and how do they feel? What is the mood of the story or the tone of the story? Is it curiosity? Is it kind of like like a dream? Is it something like a person is going through these feelings of growing up and like just like every moment it's uncomfortable? Like are they like growing pains? Action, what are they doing in the picture? What's happening right now? And I give you some examples. Beginning, one hot day, Ellie sat and looked out to the sea. She saw the waves roll where the sky met the blue. Then the 2 small eyes peeked up from the water. Step by step, the little one came to her side, middle. Ellie and her new little one became friends. He taught her how to catch fish and she learned to swim. Together, they swam for hours and enjoyed the joys of being friends. Ellie grew old and so did her friend. And one hot evening, Ellie couldn't sleep and heard her best friend wail. Under the silver moon, she said goodbye to her best friend, who smiled as they held each other for one last time. Again, I'm just giving you an example. This is not even like the best. Just again, play with the images, play with your own worlds. Is her name Ellie? No, it might be something else. Again, take inspiration from your own world and write something. So I'm going to give you 5 minutes. I know 5 minutes. 5 minutes is the story of my life, but I always need 5 minutes to think about something, this story. I'm not going to stop the share. So I'm just going to put the timer, okay? And we're starting now. That 25 seconds. I gave some time. We're at our last couple of seconds. So I'm going to give you guys a minute to see if anyone wants to. Oh, Lisa, thank you. My friend Dino. Hi there. What is your name? I will name you Dino. Dino, let us find food and eat together. Oh, Dino, it is night. Timer on. And thank you, Lisa. Oh, Dino, it is night already. Dino, time has passed and we are older now. My friend Dino, it is night again. That's beautiful. Anyone else that wants to go? So I'm going to stop the share for a second just to ask, what did you guys think about this exercise? Oh, thank you, Joy. Lucy is playing near the seaside. A little creature comes up to her and greets her. They become friends. Lucy helps feed her friend as they both grow. They both grow up as best friends. And look, Alonso, I like that. Too many birds, but here it is. Jilly loved playing in the sand by her home at the lake, but she had no brothers or sisters or friends. You see how we're all putting our own spin, but one thing is clear, they're friends. Now that we're understanding the beginning, the middle, and the end of a story and making it a little bit more complicated and putting a relationship, I want to bring it back to basics. Will you guys allow me to do that? I want you to take 1 minute and think about the three little pigs. Tell me what's the beginning, what's the middle, what's the end, and what is the problem? You guys have 1 minute to think about that for a second. Again, we're using the same exercise that we saw here with these 4 panels. And does everyone know the three little pigs? I'm sorry, let me not make an assumption that everyone knows it, because I know some people probably seen it in different capacities.
Oh, well, if you want pizza. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to take it that everyone understands. So let's do this. Three little pigs. What's the beginning? What's the middle? What's the end? Deborah, I think you asked a question for me to repeat something. Yes, correct. One more minute. Now, think about it. The three little pigs, the beginning, the middle, and the end, and the focus. What was the goal? Yes. That's right. They didn't want to get eaten by the wolf. All right. Do you see how we had kind of like, they failed 2 times? That's correct. So now that I kind of anchored you with the three little pigs, that the purpose was not to get eaten by the wolf, to have a home that they felt safe and protected. Now let's think back about the four panel image. What was the purpose of that story? Even though, let's say, let's not put words. What was the purpose? Because it's clear everyone's writing it in their own way. What was the purpose, do you think? What's the key message? Anyone could come off mute. There's no wrong answer.
Hi, this is Deb. That you can protect yourself, come up with a solution.
Yeah.
That they both grew up young together.
Exactly. They grow up together, they grow old together. And it's one of friendship, right? It's one of friendship. So that's what's kind of clear from a lot of the stories and the messages many of you shared in the chat. So if everyone feels good, because I feel like you guys got this, do you guys want to continue on? See what else I got for you? Great.
Yes.
Oh. Okay. Hey, picture book brainstorm. This is now about your story. You're going to have 5 minutes to write a picture book brainstorm because many of you decided to take this class to think about your own story. I'm going to give you some ideas, but honestly, these are all inspired by you. Every story, I believe, deserves to be told. So think about your book title. You might not have one, but maybe you have a working title just because you know what you want from it. Put one word in each one. Like one could be about the character, the setting. What's the problem? Is the problem is like a budding friendship or someone trying to learn something? You know, who are the supporting characters? Are there any supporting characters? Or maybe there's none. Maybe there's a mom and dad. Maybe it's just family. So those are the supporting characters. And then these two things, maybe you want to write a little quirk about your character. Maybe they carry a stuffy with them everywhere they go. Maybe they don't carry a stuffy with them. Maybe they like to just dream of different things to do. Again, here's a picture book brainstorming idea. You don't have to use this page. You could write it down if you want. I'm gonna give you 3 minutes because I just noticed we're at 3:21 and I still have a couple things to show you. And I want you to start putting the skeleton of your story together because this is one of the biggest purposes of this class is for you to feel comfortable enough that some of these basic concepts that you're learning you could put together. And make sure this is important mood. Your story, your entire story has to carry a mood. And even when you're writing it in the bubble, what is that mood? Maybe one of the bubbles is like in the beginning, I want it to be curiosity and then excitement. And then there's a problem and there's confusion and it ends with happiness. Think about those moods. You're going to try to put that in your words. The same, what's a perfect example of how we saw mood and tone without words? The umbrella. We saw it. The dog found the umbrella and was instantly curious. And then it goes through an adventure and it goes through scary moments and then some excitement. And then we go through all the emotions. This guy puts us through a roller coaster of emotions. And then when he gets home, he's like, I made it back. Who the heck knows if he was hungry? Maybe that's why he's excited to make it back, or he had to go to the bathroom, one or the other. So again, think about all that. So I'm gonna give you 3 minutes, not 5 this time. I know I'm cutting it down because I want more things. So I'm gonna not stop to share. I hope you're seeing the picture book brainstorming bubbles. I hope you are. Write it down. Again, your working book title, what would that be? The name of your character and some examples of your character. Remember, since this is a picture book, we're going to put like 3 facts of that character. It could be a name, gender, and their favorite thing. Again, the other bubble should be setting. So we're starting to organize our ideas and let's put that together. Okay. 3 minutes starting. So we got 3 seconds, 2, 1. Okay, I'm going to stop the sharing. Tell me what you guys think about the picture book brainstorming. Any ideas come to mind?
I think it's a good idea because I think that it gets you thinking about the message that you're trying to give and the overall mood, as you said, in the story.
Yes. And I think like one of the reasons I start with like, let's brainstorm what we're thinking of our ideas, because as you could tell, there's a science to writing a picture book, right? We're playing with images and we're playing with words, right? If we don't kind of start organizing ourselves how we want to do, we might get lost. It might be feeling overwhelming, but the most important part is that the message has to be simple. It has to be so simple because we don't have a lot of words. We have to wordsmith with many small words and that have to hit like points. That's why, and an example I'm going to use myself, I wrote a story. It was 700 words, but I went from 300 words all the way to 1,000 something words. And I had to write that story over 30 something times, almost 50 times. And it was still the same message. And some things did change every time the story changed, but the story message was the same. You know, like the point, the focus. What was the focus? What was the goal? What was my I was trying to get the character to do? What was I getting the reader to be compelled? So when you write the picture book brainstorm ideas, it is something that it should like the focus of it should be your message. Now, I'm going to do one thing. This is something, does everyone have a paper and pen? So I want you to really understand why I'm drilling so much the focus. Okay, I'm gonna put a timer for a minute. And you're like, why do you need to make a timer for a minute? There, just follow me with the madness. Okay, we're gonna do a minute. I'm gonna hit time, start. You're gonna take a minute to draw a tree. The tree could have lots of branches, lots of leaves. The tree could have flowers all around them. You could draw the sun, whatever you want. So I'm gonna give you a minute to draw that tree. Ready, set, go. You could even draw clouds above the tree. Who knows? You could probably put a rainbow around the tree. Maybe a leprechaun if you have enough time. And it's a pot of gold. But think about it. Just draw a tree. Why are we drawing this tree? There's a reason for my madness. Okay. And this is actually a writing exercise that for a class I attended over 5 to 6 years ago, and I thought it was beautiful. It was just such a beautiful message. Okay, we're getting at 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. Okay, reset. We're gonna draw the same tree that you just drew right now, but now you have 30 seconds. Starting now. You could try to replicate that same tree that you wrote when you had a minute. Okay, we're getting into 3, 2, 1. Stop. Now we're gonna draw that same tree we wrote for the 1 minute, the 30 seconds, but now I'm giving you 10 seconds. And you're like, why? There's a reason. I'll give you 5 seconds just to be generous. So now we have 15 seconds. Same tree, starting now. Okay. Now look at all the trees you drew. Was it still a tree in every stage? So that was the focus, right? The goal was to draw the tree, right? Yes, it was still a
Yes.
tree. What do you think this exercise is about?
Focus.
What is the character's focus? Your character was a tree. With more time, obviously, you're putting more trinkets to it, but it's still that's the goal. All right, guys, I'm gonna share my screen. We're coming to the end, and I'm just gonna share more facts, and then you could stop me at the end for some more questions. Can you see my page? Okay, so when you're drawing, when you're writing a picture book, this is kind of like the layout, right? We have a cover, the layouts, the interiors, and then we have to draw a story, and it has to fit this template. And this is what the printers look like, right? So I try not to get right. I personally don't like writers to think about this because now you're falling into the trap of like, oh, maybe let me see how these images match these words and do they have to fit there? Let me like no, try to concentrate on the story and then we align the story to the images we want. But it's good to know that this is the layout it has to conform to at some point. So don't jump the steps and try to get into this, but this is the goal. Like we're trying to get our story to kind of flow like that, right? And let's start with illustrators. So part one, understanding illustration styles. They could be realistic, soft, true to life tones, whimsical, cartoon, bold, playful, exaggerated. It could be a collage, it could be mixed media, textures, cutouts, layers, or they could be like stick figures. Believe it or not, some of the most popular picture books started out as stick figures. It could be digital, which clean lines, bright colors. Even my background is a digital illustration with a modern feel. Okay. So this is actually something, oh, hold on. I'm trying to see if I could, I'm gonna, uh, I'm gonna, highlight this HTTP and we're gonna go through it. Because I think it's really important for you to see why this matters, okay? Okay. So I gave you like the best picture books, okay? And this is from this page, right? Kindlepreneur, right? Look at these illustrations. It could be cartoonish. It could be realistic. Actually, a lot of the realistic images actually won a lot of like prestigious awards for picture books, like Caldecott's and like and things that many authors wish for. It could be like this. It could almost be um like a whimsical illustration, right? It could look like this, very commercial, a line drawing, you know, or it could be like this sketch style or abstract, all the way to something like Dr. Seuss with like very heavy pattern designs, heavy things. As you can see, the words then have a hard time for word placement. So when you think about illustrations, we have to think about our word placements. It could be bold and bright and beautiful. And then this is actually my favorite picture book style because it's easy when we have like an image and a concept and then we kind of write to that. The reason I'm showing these examples is because I want you to think about this is what pictures are going to give life to your words and to the story. So this is what we have to start thinking about. There was a point in time that watercolor was the only way publishers liked doing illustrations to a certain degree, and we've evolved from that to pencil art, which is an older style charcoal, but mostly now illustrations don't have to look like collage. At one point we did collage, but now we're using like graphics and graphic designers to create these beautiful things. The multimedia is the most like popular style, to be honest, and digital. So this one is a New York Times bestseller, and you can see why. It does, you want like the cover to just like grab you, and it grabbed the stories. So these are examples of illustrators. And this vector illustration style is not that popular, by the way. It's popular to us, like it was at one point in time, but not so much because now we have a huge range. And usually the way I know how to find an illustrator, let's say if I see a publisher that I really want to write to, I look at their children's books list. You'll start seeing there's a theme, like the type of styles they have. Very little do you see like a lot of publishers like steering away from their style. You'll see like they usually have a style, and you'll see like the multimedia style a little bit, or you'll see other things. Or again, you have to start doing that research. Like you go to Scholastic, you go to Simon and Schuster. Like again, I'm giving you publishers' names for a reason. Now let me continue, since we're coming to a close, and I think that's it. So again, these are places where we find illustrators if we want to self-publish, which is Fiverr, Upwork, Readsy, Illustration X, DeviantArt. You could go through the directory for children's illustrators. You could go through Behance. I do want to let you know, if you decide to self-publish, please use a lot of your time researching that illustrator, because make sure you also get a contract, because usually the illustration negotiation, that could be a different class, but that's very vital when you're collaborating with another artist on your books. Okay, so now if we go to the part 2, right? I don't know if you see that. Let me stop my share and go here. Okay, part 2 is this: how to find illustrators. I put Society of Children's Books Writers and Illustrators, Behance, Redsea, freelance platforms like Upwork, Fiverr, and then 99 Designs is one that is a newer one for some, but it's something that people like. And then you could also do what I like. I like to follow people in social media, and that's something that's really helpful, because then what you see the popularity of those illustrators and how they do working with authors, how do they do working with publishers. I have to admit, I think that's the best way we know if we want to partner with someone. And then networking, like for example, this weekend Scholastic is having a huge networking event, like, and if you're not in New York City, there's in your city, team up with Squibby. That's the way you meet other writers and illustrators. So let me again go to this. Give me 2 seconds. 2 seconds. I'm sorry.
So Luz was talking about Squidby. She's talking about the Society of Book Writers and Illustrators for Children. And what I can do is I can put our chapters link in the chat for you guys.
Sorry about that. Let me just share my screen again. I'm so sorry. Thank you for bearing with me. And then these are like some of the top publishers, right? We have Random House Children's Books, Simon and Schuster that I mentioned, Macmillan, HarperCollins, Scholastic. But what's more important when you're looking for publishers or agents to represent your work, always do thorough research. The thorough research I'm saying, if you're going to do a book, and I'm going to be very general, let's say you want to do a book about bath time. This is how you start your research. Go to let's go to Random House, let's go to Simon Schuster, let's go to Macmillan. Let's start looking about children's book about bath time, right? How many books do they have about bath time? Chances are, if you see that they already have a book about bath time, they might not want to do a book about bath time. They might want to do a spin on it. Maybe it's bath time to someone that's scared of the water. How many books are about bath time and kids are scared of the water? Let's see if they have that on their roster. That's part of your research. You start looking at things like that. How many writers do they have that they accepted for that year? Sometimes most publishers can't accept more than 6 writers per year, right? That's the smaller ones, the imprints. Scholastic, obviously, they're a big publisher. They could accept more than 6 writers per year. So those are things to know, you know. Do your research on that. Review the books they have previously published. How many of their books have awards? What are the awards that they're winning them in? Is it in the space of again that you want to be in? Again, this really is driven by the message of your book. Think of the umbrella. Maybe they're winning in a book about the umbrella because it's diverse in nature. It's not only talking about puppy, but all animals and all of them being friends and all of them having conflict and solution at the same time. Okay, I do have to tell you, be cautious of vanity presses and certain self-publishing companies because they charge triple the price. When I started writing, I remember there was this company that wanted to write with me. They were charging me close to $25,000 upfront to create a children's book. I'm going to be honest. I have self-published many books. I never, ever, ever spent 20K on a book. Most of my books are really under 20K, 10K or 15K, because when you're writing a children's book, you're taking the upfront costs. That means you're paying the illustrator, you're paying an editor, you're paying a formatter. This could be another class, but I'm just giving you some feedback since we're getting close to the end. You're playing also the print shop that you're deciding to print. Maybe it's going to be print on demand, but you need to buy some of those books to be there. Again, think about all these things. Will you invest in marketing? Will you invest giving some free books out so you could have people to give you feedback? I hope all this is something that is sounding a little like you heard before, because I think one of the great things about the program you guys are in right now, it really, really caters to helping you understand what it is to get into writing, what it is that you need to know. So let me start. I'm gonna, before I show you who I am and what I do, I'm gonna stop the screen. And if anyone has any questions, please come off mute, because the last 10 minutes I'll share about my work, how did I start writing, and give you some more insights about me.
Are there adult like picture books?
There are adult picture books. I haven't seen too many, but I think like if we think about it, there's comic strip books that are more catered to adults. There's even adult cartoons when we think about like the Simpsons, or like this the company called Swimply, that they cater to adult cartoon and things like that. Again, a lot of the adult picture books, I want to say, like, when you think about picture books, think about it. It should be for adults, because adults are making the informed decision what they want to buy for their kids in order to read it to their kids. Does that make sense? Like, because the first person you're trying to convey or try to sway to purchase your books is an adult. Also, there's mangas, but mangas is very art heavy. Actually, I'm really in love with mangas. There's wonderful mangas, but I haven't seen too many of them in picture books. They're more for middle grade. But that's one question. Any other questions?
I have another question. There's some chapter books with pictures, like they're black and white. Do they still make those?
Yes, they do. And what you're calling the chapter books are called spot art. They're cheaper, and that means that it's not a full page. A full page is, so this is a page, right? A page.
Mm-hmm.
And when we think about it divided, that's a full page art. For a spot art, it's only a quarter of a page. So sometimes artists will charge you anything between $75 to $125 per that thing, and it's only because some authors want theirs to be drawings to kind of convey a message of the story for spot art, but usually it's like on the cheaper side. I'm sorry, Maureen, I believe you had your hand, and I don't want you to think I didn't see you.
Okay. It's fine. Thank you very much. Before we got to this question section, you briefly had a picture. I think you're going to talk about it next, but you briefly had a picture of Chloe, and I started reading something about her hair. And it just so happens that the book I'm working on is about my daughter's hair. And and you said something earlier about, we have to do our due diligence, do the homework, to check, what kinds of stories have the publishers published lately? Have they already
Yeah.
done a hair book? Have they already done a whatever book?
But it has to be a twist, and I'm glad that you wrote it. You're asking the question, like an example of it. Since we're all adults, I think there's one child in the room, and if they're still in the room, kudos for you, my love. I'm happy you're in the room. But like, have you ever seen? I think Netflix had a show on, and I hate bringing it to like a crime movie, but like it was about, oh my God,
I don't have Netflix, so.
Oh, I'm trying to give an example, but like an example that makes sense. Oh my God, I don't want to say this because it's so much like Hamilton.
Oh, we live on Hamilton
Hamilton.
in this house.
Okay, let's do Hamilton. Which platform had Hamilton? Was it Netflix? Was it Disney Plus? Was it
Disney Plus?
Disney Plus. Guess what HBO had? The creation of Hamilton. So that means they can't play Hamilton. This is how you do your research. But HBO could talk about the creation of Hamilton. And Netflix cannot play Hamilton. You see how so it's the same thing with publishing. When you're looking for a hair book, right? Okay, who has hair books? They're all gonna have a different spin on hair books. My friend wrote Freedom Braids. I love her book. Guess what? Lantana didn't have books about cornrows. So that's why she got picked up. She couldn't do a hair book about cornrows, and mind you, I have mine. On Scholastic. Scholastic already has a hair book. You see what I'm saying? It's like that's the kind of research you need to do. I'm trying to think about it like as an adult. Lilo and Stitch. You could see probably on Netflix the original Lilo and Stitch, right? And then on Disney now, Disney Plus has the Lilo Stitch the movie. So again, like you have to see, that's how kind of like the publishers work. They can't all have Lilo and Stitch the movie. They can't. That's kind of like the intellectual propriety of it. Like they're owning that story for their house only. Does that make sense for the research component?
Yes.
Okay. I'm gonna
just one other quick question, because as I'm thinking about a twist now, I'm thinking, could I possibly then do? I will do my research, but I'm just curious. A book of poetry about her growing up. Is that something that would still be in the children's realm that would probably be interesting?
I mean, there are a lot of stories on like that are verse like picture books that are written in verse that still capture a lot. So I think there is a audience there. I think like what matters is the publisher that's willing to buy in that, and if it hones the message they want. You know what I'm saying? Because like Scholastic is very specific in the books it picks up. And so with Lantana, like the example I gave of my friend Monica that wrote the book Freedom Braids, which is beautiful. And Freedom Braids is really about her tying in her African heritage as well as her Colombian heritage and the history of that. Since we're at almost our last 10 minutes, I'm going to steal a minute. I'm going to tell you about me so you guys could understand who I am more. So I meet my daughter Chloe in 2015 when she was 3 years old. She wanted to straighten her hair and dye her hair blonde. That's when I realized the urgent need for representation for families of color and the impact of diversity in books and creative works.
My teacher, my reading teacher, she wrote Freedom Braids.
I know your teacher. I went to school with her. I was
Oh,
So-
and by the way, my name is Callie Rose.
Oh, hi, Callie. Okay, we have the youngest writer, the cutest writer. Thank you so much, Callie Rose. Okay, so this is a diversity in children's book. I didn't put 2024, but a lot of it, all the publishers follow the Cooperative Children's Book Center from University of Wisconsin. So when I started writing, it was less than 7% Latinos. And I'm going to focus on Latinos because there are over 22 countries that represent Latino America. We're talking about Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, Cuba, then South America, we're talking about Mexico, we're talking about Ecuador, we're talking about Colombia, the list goes on. But when we come to this country, we have to fit into the Latino or the Hispanic box. But when you think about it, when we're coming from our countries, we never identify as that. We always say, hey, I am Dominican, I am Brazilian, I am this, I am that. So I want you to focus on that. And it's the same thing if I say, from like my husband, he was born here in the Bronx and he's African American. He'll always say like, I'm from the Bronx. You, it's different. It's the same thing here when we think about like we're Americans and we live in different parts of the world. We're relating to the experience that brought us. So the same is for Latino and the same is from other cultures. But when I was writing, I noticed that this was the diversity in our children's books, but our classrooms did not represent the diversity of our kids. So when we think about tools and books and how to educate our kids, we have to also think about the books that will affect them, the books that speak to their culture, the books that speak to their homes. So I started noticing that there was a big gap. So I started writing children's books based on those needs. And I started noticing that the more I wrote, the more I was writing stories that spoke to my family, but I was writing them because I know there was not a lot of people writing to authentically, an authentic voice. So when we see Dora the Explorer, Chris Gifford was the creator of Dora the Explorer. Jennifer Hamburg actually is really popular, especially among PBS. She created Rosie's Rule and Duck McStuffin. Johnny Belt and Robert Skull noticed that there was a need for diversity in an IP and created the Bubble Guppies. Now, I entered this character and I'm pretty sure many of you didn't know it. I think they have one season in Disney and they're really popular. The character's name is Luce. My name is Luce. And when this was created, it was because they wanted to feature like kind of like the magic, like the witches and things like that for Disney. But the thing that really shocked me is that Luce is supposed to be Dominican. And I'm going to ask this question and hopefully this really solidifies and hits home. How many people you think were helping write the character Luce in Disney? How many Dominicans you think were in that? There were none. There were none. This is some insider information, and it made me think about how much more powerful it'll be if we have authentic stories that come from authentic communities. Now, again, I think that's why it really drove me to create what I did. So I started with my story growing up in Dominican Republic. I came here when I was a young child. So I created the book, and then there's an animation, and I'm gonna just stop the share for a little bit so I could show you what I did. I noticed that books were expensive. And in my community in the South Bronx, there's not a lot of schools that have libraries. There's not a lot of books that have schools that even have books that they could give away to kids. So I wanted to remove the cost of owning a book. So what I did was I animated a lot of my books because I said, if I want to do this so kids in the Bronx could see themselves and they happen to speak to the Dominican community. There's more Dominicans in the Bronx than in el Distrito Federal de la República Dominicana. So to me, that was like crazy. But here, let me show you a little bit about the story I wrote. This is one of it. Okay. Oh.
Vanessa Balleza.
So this is for early readers, if you guys guessed.
Maria is petite, playful, and beautiful.
You see, it goes into in Spanish, and then it's English, and then this is the actual book as an animation, which was the one that was featured on PBS. There were a couple that were featured in PBS, and then what I did was something different. And I'm sorry, I'm going to stop and share again, and please bear with me. I think it'll make things it'll make sense. So then, since I noticed, if we remove the book as a barrier, so everyone has access to literacy, how else can I inspire kids to want to learn a different language? So I created an online game. So here, let me share my screen. So on my website, I put free online games. Pequeña Maria, Little Maria. Oop. I'm not sure why it's doing this, but it's supposed to come on. It was working this morning. Give me a second. Let me just do this. Unless someone's on it and they didn't tell me. So they're supposed to join the online game and they could play a digital game. And it's part of educational technology, ed tech, where the kids are actually repeating a lot of the words they learn from the book as a game. And it's almost like a category games. Again, I'm sorry, for some reason, it's down for a second. Give me 2 seconds. Maybe I could get it working. One more thing. If it doesn't, I'll move on to another game so I could give you an example. I'm not sure why, but So while I'm trying to load this, if anyone has any questions they want to come off mute and ask, you're so welcome, Deborah. I'm glad you enjoy the class. Or else I'll just email it to you. For some reason, it just keeps saying loading. But there's a game, and what happens is that in the school system, they started using this in order to teach language. So I'm so sorry I can't show it to you because now the internet is just acting out for some reason. But I hope you really enjoyed my class. You're welcome to follow me and stay connected. I do have book readings and other things I do. You could follow me on Instagram or Facebook. You could follow my website for free things that are gift. I do provide a lot of free resources. And also, I'm a student myself that's going for my MBA program. So if anyone reads any of my books and will love to share feedback, I'm always open to hearing, because I think one of the most important things when you're writing a children's books is that you always have to listen to the feedback. When people share what they like, what they didn't like, it'll make you a better writer. So thank you so much. I'll hang out for a couple more minutes. Hopefully I could make this work so the ones that stood behind could see it. But if not, I do want to be respectful of your time. So you're welcome to jump off.
Thank you, Luz, and thank you everyone for coming. Did anyone have a question or a comment they wanted to make before we wrap up today? Give it a second. No, just a lot of thank yous. Wonderful. All right, well, thank you for spending your Saturday with us. I hope you have a great weekend. We're not back next weekend, but we are back on the 27th with Alyssa Reynoso Morris, and she's going to talk about pathways to publishing. And I hope you get a chance to join us for that. Have a great weekend, everyone. We'll see you next time. Bye.